Still awaiting a solution to the squeegee crisis. Fox 45 News questions when the City Council will offer a comprehensive fix and why the Mayor's Squeegee Collaborative isn't getting results. Water bill discounts promised in the wake of the E. coli contamination a month ago. Residents wonder when will they see savings. Plus, what we've learned about the origin of the contamination. A violent week in schools across the state, including Baltimore County. What candidates for county executive are saying about the recent uptick in on-campus violence.
Live from WBFF in Baltimore, this is Fox 45 News at 10.
Good evening, I'm Maxine Stryker.
And I'm Jackson. As Baltimore's squeegee crisis adds another violent installment, more than 100 calls from concerned residents have flooded City Hall over the past 3 weeks.
We have team coverage tonight as our relentless push for answers continues. Jeff Abel is taking concerns to City Council members, but we begin right now with Mackenzie Frost, who spent the day tracking down Mayor Scott for an update on his Squeegee Collaborative.
The mayor says he's talking to the Squeegee Collaborative for them to wrap up their work. And it comes as we're analyzing some of this data from the Baltimore Police Department, looking at what intersections in the city have some of the most squeegee-related calls for service. President Street, nearly 100 of the 166 squeegee-related calls for service since September 13th. Police on scene Friday at the intersection of Fayette and President. Mount Royal and North Avenues, nearly 40 calls in the same time frame. And that's the same intersection where this woman...
He said to me like a couple times, don't test me, don't test me, I will bust your window.
Says she has had several negative interactions, telling Fox 45 News about a recent incident where she says her car was damaged.
The moment I hit my gas, he hit the car with his squeegee thing.
Meanwhile, the Mayor's Squeegee Collaborative continues to meet, even just this week, but no solutions provided. Mayor Scott's team telling Fox 45 News he would take questions after an event Friday morning, but the mayor leaving. Seen here getting up. So we caught up with him hours later.
Just a few weeks ago.
Pressing him on the lack of results from a group he launched nearly 4 months ago.
Mayor Scott, what's taking so long to get some plans or recommendations from the Squeegee Collaborative? I know that everyone is meeting, it sounds like once a week. What more are you waiting for?
No, well, I'm waiting for the collaborative to say we have the work done. I met with them this week and told them about wanting to get that work to start to wrap that up.
The problem isn't going anywhere, but the conversations just keep happening.
The reality is that this conversation hasn't been happening for months. It's been happening for 40 years.
The mayor says this time the city will be dealing with the problem differently.
So we know that the focus is there. We're going to let the group, we said when we announced that the group is going to do its work and take its time, and we're going to make sure that we do it the right way this time so that we don't make the failures that were made for the previous 40 years in trying to solve this issue.
So how much longer? How much longer? Mayor Scott, how much longer, though, will this conversation continue?
We said months. When the collaborative is done, we'll let you know.
The mayor says he wants the group to wrap up their work, but then he says the results will be announced whenever the group is done. Meanwhile, overtime still used for police to sit at the squeegee corners, watching but not stopping them. And the calls for service?
We have a squeegee disturbance.
Keep coming from people reporting the problem. That first Squeegee Collaborative meeting was held back in September, and the media wasn't allowed inside to record it. The mayor's office tells me that the recommendations will come sometime this fall, but they also say that could mean any time between now and in November. In Baltimore, Mackenzie Frost, Fox 45 News.
Well, solutions to the squeegee violence, they've been hard to come by. As Mackenzie mentioned, Baltimore police have been staking out busy intersections since the shooting death of Timothy Reynolds in July. Commissioner Michael Harrison says that solution is not sustainable for his depleted department. Meanwhile, private security guards contracted by the Downtown Partnership patrolled squeegee corners for a brief period in August. That pilot program lasted only about a week. And Fox 45 continues to press city council members on how to best handle the crisis, only to have those questions fired back at us.
How do we do that?
I don't know, Councilman. How do you do that?
Well, I think
that's not for me to decide.
Well,
that's for you guys to decide.
Well, Fox 45's Jeff Abel is live now, continuing our team coverage with the ongoing effort to hold city leaders accountable. Jeff.
Well, as City Hall wrangles for solutions, the damages and the injuries keep mounting, and so do the demands. In his Northeast Baltimore neighborhood today, those who know Shamil Dixon were reluctant to talk. But online, there were plenty of words about the 26-year-old who police say shot a 17-year-old and a 23-year-old who were armed with squeegees and hustling drivers. Not long before the shooting, Dixon says the two squeegee kids stole $2,200 from his mother at a Baltimore intersection. He needs an award, writes one reader on FOX45's Facebook page. I'm not saying he's right or justified, but everybody knows not to play with people's mama, writes another viewer. Another viewer writes, how much more must this escalate before enough is enough? This is on the public officials. We spent the past 2 days posing that and other questions to public officials. Our emails and phone calls received few replies. So at City Hall last night, we asked city officials for the safety of motorists and squeegee kids. Should the corners be cleared immediately given the latest incident that police say happened?
It seems like a good idea, if only except you can't just remove people from corners.
How long will the people of Baltimore have to wait before something is done about this problem?
Well, it's not like we're not doing anything. Again, we're trying to get the right solutions in place. It's not like nothing's happening. So things are moving forward.
While City Hall wrangles for solutions, the suspect's mother has launched an online fundraiser hoping to raise $2,200 for her son, who's facing attempted murder charges. She's already raised $1,500.
If the lead official doesn't want to do anything, nothing's going to happen.
Political analyst John Deedy believes many city leaders may be waiting on a new state's attorney to get tough on squeegee kids, but fears that may not be soon enough.
They're going to create a situation where basically you can have chaos until January. Well, that's unacceptable.
It is still unclear tonight whether the two people who stole in this case were the same two people who were shot. Our search for that answer and other solutions at City Hall will go on. We're live tonight. Jeff Abel, Fox 45 News.
Jeff, thank you. And that brings us to our question of the day. Who do you believe is most to blame for failing to get squeegee kids off street corners? Mayor Scott, Marilyn Mosby, the police department, or someone else? So far, 90% of voters say Mayor Brandon Scott. We want to hear from you. Go to foxbaltimore.com/vote to weigh in.
City State's Attorney Marilyn Mosby's legal team is fighting potential punishment related to the release of jury questionnaire responses last month. In new filings, defense attorney A. Scott Bolden says his team shouldn't be held in contempt for disclosing jury information in a gag order. Opposition citing a vague set of rules and that it would not affect a jury pool 6 months before the trial. He also says prosecutors brought up the issue in the original gag order request, opening the door to the defense's use of the questionnaires. A judge is yet to rule on this. Marilyn Mosby's trial is currently set for March 2023.
During COVID, a lot of businesses were closed. And so now we're seeing a return to more or less normal commercial activity. And so we're seeing a return to higher levels of robberies.
A rise in violence this summer in and around Baltimore businesses. In South Baltimore, police are looking for a suspect who shot a man after trying to rob him. Alexa Ashwell has an update on that investigation as we near 600 non-fatal shootings this year.
That's what the latest data from the Baltimore Police Department shows. And while this latest case will be labeled or tallied as a shooting, it contributes to the overall increase in violent crime we're seeing across the city. The attempted armed robbery, police say, of a 30-year-old man here in South Baltimore, the latest example of how the crime can quickly escalate into a shooting or even murder. Latest data posted by the Baltimore Police Department showing citywide robberies are up 13% compared to this time last year. The breakdown more concerning. Citywide showing a 110% increase in convenience store robberies, a 71% spike in gas station robberies, a 33% jump in carjackings, and a more than 200% jump in miscellaneous robberies compared to this time back in 2021.
Some of the numbers I think had been artificially low.
Former Baltimore Police Deputy Commissioner Jason Johnson weighing in, specifically pointing to the pandemic.
During COVID, a lot of businesses were closed. And so now we're seeing a return to more or less normal commercial activity. And so we're seeing a return to higher levels of robberies.
The city's southeastern district seen a 400% increase in gas station robberies, a 362% jump in convenience store robberies, and a more than 600% increase in miscellaneous robberies. Johnson believes the key to addressing this spike in robberies is proactive policing, which could be a challenge, he says, for BPD given staffing and accountability.
Criminals who are interested in committing robberies will engage in that activity because they think that, one, they probably won't get caught because the police department's closure rate for robberies is very low. And two, even if they do get caught, the chances of them actually facing real accountability in terms of incarceration are very low.
Johnson saying he's hopeful accountability will increase with the incoming state's attorney Ivan Bates, who says he will prosecute all laws. Reporting outside police headquarters, Alexa Ashwell, Fox 45 News.
It was another gorgeous day with many of us seeing those temperatures in the 70s. A couple spots hit highs in the 60s, even the 50s toward western Maryland. And then in southern Maryland, La Plata, we even had 80 degrees. Now, these temperatures were nice. They were warm. They were above average, but we have our next cold front currently moving across the state, and that is going to lead to a cool down tomorrow. So we're talking temperatures falling at least 10 degrees for many of us. I'll let you know how low those temperatures get and when to expect the next warm up coming up in my full forecast. Back to you.
Still ahead on Fox 45 News at 10 o'clock tonight. A month after Mayor Brandon Scott promised discounts in the wake of Baltimore's E. coli advisory, residents are wondering when they'll see their savings. Fox 45 News gets answers. In the wake of Adnan Syed's release, a new and well-known attorney joins Heyman Lee's family in a fight to make sure their voices are heard. A sinkhole caused by aging infrastructure in Baltimore leads to a pair of homes being demolished. Well, now the owners are getting a bill. Their fight for answers coming up.
Fox 45 News, winner of 17 2022 Regional Emmy Awards, more than all other Baltimore news stations combined.
We understand what our communities have been going through, and in light of that, want to remind everyone that we are instituting a 25% discount citywide on water bills for the next billing cycle as we help to compensate residents for being without water and to help cover the cost of increased usage during flushing.
Well, it's been a month since Mayor Brandon Scott promised to cut 25% off some city water bills due to that E. coli contamination. Well, now residents are wondering where's their discount?
Yeah, Fox 45's Keith Daniels has some clarity tonight from city leaders on when those changes could be reflected on the bills. Keith?
Well, Maxine and Kai, we've learned residents will have to wait just a few more days for that discount. And tonight, that's leaving a bad taste on the lips of some residents.
Something ain't right.
On his porch in West Baltimore, Denver Moten and his neighbors can't forget it. The E. coli water supply scare over the Labor Day weekend that gripped the community. Moten recalls the moment he learned about it.
I had just brushed my teeth. Do you know how I felt the rest of the day? I was worried like I don't know what.
A few days later, Mayor Brandon Scott gave the all clear, lifted the boil water advisory, then made a promise to Baltimore residents.
The 25% discount.
The mayor said everyone in the city would be given a 25% discount on water bills in the next cycle for their inconvenience caused by the water crisis. A month after that promise, residents on Moten's porch asking about the discount delay.
It should have been discounted right then and there. So when this bill came out for this month, the discount should have been on the bill.
You want to talk about 25%, like I said, you're not going to see that difference. You see, knock out the whole bill, then you can see the difference. Then I can understand your appreciation.
Frustration for some still running deep. From the beginning, the Department of Public Works criticized over how the situation was handled.
I think the city failed. I think the entire city failed with this.
The most critical time in a crisis is those first 24 hours. And frankly, I'm disgusted on how those first 24 hours was handled.
City council members not holding back at hearings recently when questioning DPW about its response. At last week's hearing, the agency revealing what may have caused the contamination, saying it was, quote, a combination of factors related to aging city infrastructure.
I'm still wondering, is it still in the area?
Meanwhile, waiting on the discount.
Let me know how much that 25% is it going to be $7? Is it going to be $16? You know, you don't know.
Well, according to the mayor's office, the discount will apply to charges that immediately followed the mayor's lifting of that boil advisory that happened early September. They say the discounted adjustment should appear on water bills starting in late October, running through late November. We're live tonight. Keith Daniels, Fox 45 News.
All right, Keith, thank you. New tonight, Maryland Attorney General Brian Frosh is joining Hayman Lee's family in their efforts to put Adnan Syed's trial on hold. Syed was convicted of killing Lee in 2000, a conviction vacated last month by a judge. Frosh says Lee's rights as a victim were violated during the original trial by not having her brother allowed to testify in person. Frosh says an appeal in Maryland Circuit Court could make it possible a retrial a moot point.
Tonight, Maryland's highest court is upholding a ruling allowing mail-in ballots to be counted in Maryland before Election Day after a challenge from Republican gubernatorial hopeful Dan Cox. Now, the state says that early period will allow for on-time results, while Cox argued the measure violated state law.
To ensure that the rule of law is upheld, that our Constitution is preserved, and the process of a governor's veto is not going to be forum shopped and overturned simply if the legislature does not do so.
The Maryland State Board of Elections releasing a statement following the decision, saying this decision will be instrumental in assisting local election officials complete the timely canvassing and tabulation of these ballots and meet all relevant statutory deadlines.
It is a beautiful evening in Baltimore. Here's a live look at M&T Bank Stadium on Sunday. It's primetime AFC North showdown between the Ravens and Cincinnati Bengals.
Yeah, the Ravens are looking to pick up their first home win of the year and move to first place in the division. Rocco DeSangro has a full preview coming up soon on Sports Unlimited. Be
sure to tune in for an NFL doubleheader this Sunday on Fox 45. First, the Atlanta Falcons take on the Tampa Bay Buccaneers at 1 p.m. Then the Cowboys are out west to square off with the LA Rams. Kickoff at 4:25.
President Joe Biden in Hagerstown today with a message on the economy, why he says it's time for a change in focus across the aisle.
President Biden says Armageddon could be closer than we think, why one expert says Russia can't control its nuclear arsenal.
It's been a gorgeous Friday with temperatures finally nice and warm. We had a rainy start to the week, cool temperatures. Now we're back to that dry pattern, and with the warm temperatures, it felt great, but we're actually looking at a cool down to finish the weekend. Temperatures will drop about 16 degrees tomorrow. Highs will only be in the 60s, but will gradually warm up next week. I'll let you know how warm our temperatures get and when to expect the next chance for rain coming up in my Weather Authority forecast.
In tonight's Maryland moment, a man on Hampden Street, a street corner, proves positivity is absolutely contagious.
Yes, it is. Fox 45's Rebecca Pryor and photojournalist Lane Blank take us through this poetic story.
In a city where kindness often doesn't make the front page, Carter Flagg takes a front seat.
Bismillah. I got thoughts on the future that I want to see.
On a mission to make Baltimore a better place, Carter decided doing so
Come out here a couple times a week.
could be as simple as pulling up a chair
Even it's like a baseball game where people are like, get your popcorn here, or like, get your poems here.
and putting pen to paper.
Offer people an opportunity to receive a poem. Poems here. Got poems today. Get your poems here. Poetry, get your poems here.
For complete strangers.
My friend Pat Boyle's birthday.
Okay.
And he would be so amused with an amazing poem.
Each poem starts with a few questions.
How do you spell your name? How's the day going? What's something you appreciate about yourself? I'm just gonna ask too many questions.
Getting to know his subject.
What's Pat all about? Can you tell me something you appreciate about Destiny?
Everything. Then Carter
Just a moment.
gets to work. And in a matter of minutes,
Can I read it to you?
Yes, please.
his personalized poems
Ready?
Yeah.
to destiny
are ready to read.
Roses are red.
Now, he's not technically a professional writer.
To Farabee, to Pat, to Chalet, who has stumbled upon this corner of free poems, a thoughtful listener, and raising 3 youngins, stories which I envision Olivia living herself, knows how to bring just a hint of a smile to those around her.
But he is certified in the art of compassion.
And I get hugs sometimes, and it's validating. It's funny because, like, the poems are free, so this doesn't, like, pay the bills in any sort.
We need more people like this. But it just feels really nice knowing that there are decent humans out there that are gonna see you as another decent human.
And at the end of the day, Carter's only hope, his listening ear and his thoughtful words.
I just take what they give me and then give it back to them with like a little bow on it.
Will remind others kindness doesn't come at a cost.
It's given me a lot of faith that when we do things without asking for anything in return, we'll be supported by those around us.
A smile, a good deed.
Thank you, Skip.
Have a good one.
Or the perfect words.
Aw, I love that. Thank you.
Awesome.
Thank you so much. I love that.
Show being kind is entirely free.
You can't quantify it. Yeah, you can't put any price tag on it.
And
sure.
yet the payback is often priceless.
So I don't have any money, but I have a lot of, my heart is usually pretty full when I'm out here. Get your poems here.
Rebecca Pryor.
Read poetry, get your poems here.
Fox 45 News.
Love that story. Still ahead now, a shock for Baltimore homeowners as the city demands money to demolish homes destroyed by a sinkhole. Why they think the script should be flipped.
Gas prices are ticking back up. I'm Altrell Nashar with how this could impact voters with just over a month to go until the midterms.
Some breaking news tonight. Howard County Police are investigating a deadly shooting in Columbia. Officers were called to a scene at an apartment complex on Hickory Road, less than a mile from Howard Community College's campus just over 2 hours ago. Officers found a man who had been shot in the head. He was pronounced dead at the scene. So far tonight, no word on the gunman. You can stay with Fox 45 News and foxbaltimore.com for updates.
A Merville High School parent is arrested after police say that parent got into a fight with students in the school. Police say the parent was let in through the school through an unauthorized door by their child. Well, the students also face disciplinary action at this time. Now in Frederick County, a 15-year-old girl has been charged after allegedly pulling a knife during a cafeteria fight at a high school today. A student was assaulted in Baltimore County yesterday, and violence in schools has been a common problem across the state this week. Fox 45's Rael Creighton joins us live with a look at what's happening in schools. Rael?
Yeah, Kai, we have seen one after another of these vicious viral videos, fights being shared on social media that are happening in Baltimore County schools. The latest incident that happened in Towson has two mothers coming to us to say the situation has gone too far. Extreme fight videos posted on social media. Some of them we can show you, others we can't, including a brutal three-girl brawl, a student partially stripped of her clothes inside Towson High School this week. Another violent video posted on Snapchat just today that you won't see here inside Delaney High. The pummeling of a girl turned another group beating.
My daughter doesn't even want me talking to you because she's so afraid of retaliation.
Two mothers of Baltimore County students who didn't want their identities revealed say their children witnessed one of those fights, but have seen so much violence this year.
That's not the first time they've seen a fight like that.
No, they see it all the time, and no one goes to anyone's aid. No one. It's baffling. It's just baffling, and it's scary.
Speaking, they said to call attention to what they believe is a situation spiraling out of control.
This is something that has been ongoing for quite some time, and it seems as if no one is making any attempt to bring this to a close.
Videos like this, Pastor Charles Neal said, show his niece wielding a bat, allegedly under attack by her bullies of over a year at Perry Hall High School. Fox 45 News has repeatedly reached out to Baltimore County schools on the issue of violence. Earlier this week, they told us in part, any behavior that creates a hostile school environment, disrupts learning and school activities, or negatively interferes with the student's academic, psychological, social, or physical well-being will not be tolerated. It went on to say the community should be assured that students are held accountable. And there's been a lot of pressure on Baltimore County schools in the wake of these violent videos that keep surfacing. School officials did also say in that statement that they want parents and students to report any of these incidents. They say swift action will be taken. Reporting live tonight, Rael Creighton, Fox 45 News.
Rael, thank you. Well, the quality education and school safety have become central issues in elections. This week, Fox 45 News pressed Baltimore County Executive Johnny Olszewski on the violence as campaign rival Pat McDonough is also speaking out.
And I'm a parent of a Baltimore County public school student. I have a first grader here in Baltimore County, and the safety and well-being of our students and families is the most important thing that we can do. We're putting the resources in place to not only support our nationally recognized school resource officers so that we have that presence in the building.
We can no longer tolerate the violence in the school system. We must have a solution. The solution is to attack or address the people who are causing the problem. Too many children are being hurt, too many parents are becoming victims, and the system is not changing because the leadership under Olszewski.
Well, Fox 45 News will continue to track the crisis in Baltimore County classrooms and how people in leadership or seeking county offices plan to address the problems.
Well, the back and forth continues over how to handle the dispute between a homeless encampment and a nearby farmers market in Baltimore. There's an agreement that the farmers market operators and city leaders to keep the market running this week, but that doesn't include a solution for those who are homeless.
Where am I go now? It's getting ready to get cold out here. It's not right. The farmers market, when they finish, they go home. We don't have a home.
I'm just upset that the right hand doesn't speak to the left hand, and I mean, this shouldn't have happened.
Well, the friction between the two groups came to a head this past Sunday when vendors arrived to find the homeless encampment in their setup area. Mayor Brandon Scott allocated more than $90 million in funding in February to help the city's long-term response to homelessness. But homeless advocates say that issue hasn't been properly addressed.
Frustration is growing among Baltimore residents who say they're being billed for damage to their homes 3 months after a massive sinkhole. One man whose home fell victim to that sinkhole says the city sent him a letter saying he'd have to cover the cost to condemn and demolish the property. Meanwhile, residents along North Avenue are still waiting on an explanation from the city as to how that sinkhole actually formed.
I put a lot of money into renovating the property. Something needs to happen now. I mean, it's been months right now. We haven't heard anything.
Fox 45 News reached out to the city asking why they're not responding to concerned residents impacted by the sinkhole. They responded telling us an investigation into the cause of the incident is ongoing.
Anne Arundel County police officer is arrested this morning on DUI charges after allegedly crashing into a tree in a parking lot in Glen Burnie. When police got to the scene, they saw the driver still seated. They detected signs of impairment. The officer has been suspended without pay. Also in Anne Arundel County, the assistant state's attorney is on leave while he faces charges of felony child abuse. Rashad White was released Tuesday without bond. A spokesperson.
Many of my Republican friends are basically arguing that good news for the economy is bad news for America. As if they're rooting for fewer jobs and lower wages. It's all part of this trickle-down mentality that says it doesn't matter what's happening on Main Street. What really matters is what's happening on Wall Street.
Well, President Biden addressed the economy in Hagerstown this afternoon. He toured a Volvo plant while trying to promote an economic plan built from the ground up. But Republican concerns, they're growing, and for good reason. The stock market capped off its 7th losing week in the past 8. Each major index dipping at least 2% today. And after a steady summer, gas prices are ticking back up. Atra Al-Nashar explains the uphill economic battle now that's facing the president.
Gas prices once again moving in the wrong direction. The national average up 13 cents from a month ago.
Is this painful to watch right now?
A little bit, but luckily I have some kind of rewards program, so I saved a little bit of money.
Many drivers forced to pay more attention to fluctuating gas prices or change how much they drive.
I have the supermarket near to the laundry. I try to do in one time everything.
24% of voters say overall inflation is the most important issue facing the country, according to the latest Economist YouGov poll. Republicans trying to channel the frustration against their Democratic opponents in the midterms.
New Hampshire families are paying more for just about everything.
And inflation crushing family budgets.
President Biden making stops across the country, often with a focus on the economy, new manufacturing investments, jobs.
This recovery has been the fastest increase of people re-entering the workforce of any modern economic recovery.
But as political science professor Dr. Todd Belt explains, as long as gas prices are high,
it's hard for any politician to use messaging to tell people that things are going to get better when they see those big signs on the side of the road with those big numbers.
In swing states with some key races that could shift power in Washington, gas is above the national average of $3.89, which could hurt Democrats' chances.
It's not like the president has a magic wand or anything like that to change the price of gasoline.
One tool the president has, which he announced this week he's using again, is tapping into the Strategic Petroleum Reserve. But it's expected to have a minimal impact on the price per gallon and draws criticism from Republicans who claim the move depletes the emergency stockpile. For many Americans, the financial strain does feel like an emergency, one that could determine their vote. In Washington, I'm Atra Al-Nashar reporting.
As we get closer to Election Day, Fox 45 News is introducing you to the candidates looking to earn your vote. Mackenzie Frost sat down with Nicolai Ambrose, a Republican running in Maryland's 2nd Congressional District.
Thanks so much for joining us today. Tell me why you wanted to run for Congress in this specific district.
So I have been involved as a mom, as a PTA leader, as a room mom. I run a charity. But for politics, I have just been so sick of being taken for granted. My fellow voters deserve someone who is active in the community, out in the community, listens to the community, and then takes that voice to Washington, D.C. and votes the way our district wants a representative in Congress to vote.
With the current governor, Larry Hogan, he's a very different type of Republican than the Republican nominee for governor, Dan Cox.
Yeah.
Which one do you follow?
So I'm really grateful that Governor Hogan endorsed me.
Do you support Dan Cox for governor?
I absolutely admire everything he's doing, and look forward to him running a good race. And he has to make the case to voters just as every other candidate does.
Has he made the case to you as a voter?
I am absolutely going to support Dan, but at the same time, I am happy to work with whoever gets elected.
We hear a lot that there's addressing the crime, and specifically the homicide and non-fatal shootings, comes with partnership between local, state, and federal partners.
Yep.
How do you see that, and what more could be done to strengthen that partnership?
Essentially, I think people have to feel they can trust each other. Once again, I'm happy to work with everyone, but at the same time, I don't think Baltimore City has been called out for its shameful performance.
And you don't think that's happening? I feel like we talk about the crime rate in the city a lot.
Right, we do. So Dutch Ruppersberger has represented portions of Baltimore City for 20 years, and I've seen him do nothing.
Looking at K through 12 first, how do you feel about school choice?
My first piece of legislation on the federal level would be allowing and that parents demand accountability if their children are not able to succeed in school, that they have other options, and that we also need to track where those federal dollars are going. We can't just keep pouring money down a garbage disposal.
Do you think it would be beneficial for the feds to withhold some of their funding if schools are not proficient in some of these basic core classes?
Absolutely, but guess what? It also, that parent should have a right. We have paid all of this money into the system, and our children need to be educated, so let those children go get an education.
A massive oversight within campus police at Uvalde schools, while the entire department is now suspended.
Thousands of volunteers across the country all working towards a common goal, the latest on the national effort to help rebuild communities lost in Hurricane Ian.
And we're in for a chilly night as temperatures fall to the upper 40s and below average, but the real cool down comes by the afternoon. I'll let you know how high the temperatures get and when to expect the next warm up and rain coming up in my full forecast. It's been a lovely day, but we are looking at those cooler temperatures starting to work their way into the state, and that's all because of a cold front. You will feel the temperature change tomorrow. Currently, we sit at 65 with overcast skies and a nice view of M&T Bank Stadium in the background. By the time we have the game on Sunday, temperatures are going to be well below where they are right now. Winds are out of the west-northwest around 11 miles per hour. And across the state, you can see that temperature gradient. In Westminster, Frederick, we've got temperatures in the upper 50s. We get a little bit cooler as we move toward western Maryland. But then for the rest of us, we're seeing those numbers mainly in the 60s, 68 in Annapolis. So where you see those cooler numbers, that's where the cold front has already passed and some of that cool air has rushed in. Overnight, temperatures fall to the 40s and 50s. We even have the 30s over toward Oakland, so one of their coolest nights. And the rest of us will feel the effects of that cold front again. It moves across the state tonight. Then tomorrow we'll have plenty of sunshine, but it will be breezy at times. By Sunday, things look much better with lots of sunshine and temperatures slightly higher. That cold front will continue to work its way across the state. Now, it could spark a couple of stray showers, but most of us will stay dry. And by the time we wake up in the morning, we're looking at plenty of sunshine, but temperatures only in the 40s and 50s. Then heading into the afternoon, we'll stay mostly sunny. Same thing heading into the evening. And overnight, we remain quiet and clear. Temperatures drop to the 30s and 40s, so it will be a very cold night and a very cold morning heading into Sunday. But we do quickly warm up as we head into the afternoon. Those temperatures will approach the mid-60s. We're keeping watch on Tropical Storm Julia, which is expected to strengthen into a Category 1 hurricane before making landfall in Nicaragua, but we're not expecting any local impacts with that. Tonight, we remain quiet with temperatures falling to 48 with a few passing clouds. Then tomorrow, 63 with plenty of sunshine, but it will be cool in the morning. Just make sure that you have the layers. As we head into Sunday, 66 and very chilly as we head into the night for the game. 69 on Monday, 70s by the middle of the week. Then we cool down following showers on Thursday. Back to you.
Uvalde School District has suspended its entire campus police force following backlash over a recent hiring. The new hire is a former Texas police officer currently under investigation for her response to the shooting at Robb Elementary School. The police department has since fired that officer, saying they weren't aware of the investigation. Uvalde superintendent has also announced plans to retire. These developments in Uvalde come amid a Spotlight on America investigation into whether violence protection is a priority in schools. The Spotlight on America team is discovering some schools fly blind when it comes to protecting our kids. Mitch Blocker explains.
In a school emergency,
Landon got shot.
would your child know what to do with their teacher?
But you don't know pain until you bury 5 of your kids.
Missy Dodds thought she and her school were ready for a crisis until a gunman burst into her Minnesota classroom, killing 10 in 2005.
Did your school practice lockdown drills?
I do not remember in my 3 years there ever having a lockdown drill.
We've discovered her experience is not unique. Spotlight on America looked through years' worth of state and local school safety records across the country. In Washington, D.C. and a half dozen states, we found schools skipping safety drills and often no one monitoring to make sure they're done.
It's important that we do these in school. We do these properly. The federal government steps in, provides the proper training, the proper guidance, and helps protect our kids.
Even in states home to some of America's deadliest school shootings, we discovered there are no consistent safety drill standards. In Texas, where 21 died in Uvalde, it's up to individual school boards to decide how many safety drills kids do. It's the same in Florida, where 17 died at Stoneman Douglas High School. And that's not going to keep kids safe, according to Jacqueline Schulkraut of the State University of New York, one of the few to study this issue nationally.
We have a significant issue at the federal level, and that we have no federal guidance on what these should look like. And so because of that, you have a lot of variability within and between states and districts.
Who do you think at the federal level should be responsible for making this uniform?
Absolutely, the U.S. Department of Education.
We learned that the Department of Education posts safety information for schools on its website. But if you scroll to the bottom of the page, you'll see how much faith the federal government has in its own advice. The disclaimer says this website should not be presumed to reflect the positions or policies of the U.S. Department of Education. The department does not guarantee the accuracy, timeliness, applicability, or completeness of the information on this site.
Staff at the U.S. Department of Education told us by law it is not allowed to tell schools what to do. So we took our questions to the people who make the laws. Why is there no universal standard for practicing safety in schools across this country?
Well, that's part of why I've introduced the School Shooting Safety and Preparedness Act.
Florida Congresswoman Debbie Wasserman Schultz wants to force the Department of Education to start collecting and reporting basic school safety information, including the number of school shootings, number of people killed or injured, how shooters were stopped, and the types of weapons and ammo they used.
I don't know how you would make national federal policy that is minimum safety standards required for every school district if you haven't defined what are our most significant problems and where are the similarities.
The bill takes a first step toward creating those minimum safety standards by getting a detailed handle on the actual risks schools face. But until that happens, school safety remains a patchwork of policies, leaving people like Missy Dodds worried history will keep repeating itself.
You can fix it. You can fix it in simple ways. You can give guidance on how to do drills. I get mad when I think about it as far as why are we not doing everything we can?
For Spotlight on America, I'm Mitch Blocker in Washington.
A major decision that could shape Maryland's midterm elections. Why a judge says the state will be able to count some ballots early. And Ronnie Stanley didn't practice on Friday, but that doesn't mean he won't play Sunday night. His status ahead of the game coming up next on Sports Unlimited.
The Ravens will be without wide receiver one for Sunday night's game against the Bengals due to a foot injury. Rashad Bateman has been listed as out, so the team will look to guys like James Prochet and Devin Duvernay to really step up Sunday night. Bateman has 11 catches for 243 yards and 2 touchdowns this season, so his on-the-field production will certainly be missed Week 5, and he's not the only player who will miss Sunday's game. Here's the full injury report from Friday. Bateman, Justice Hill, Ben Cleveland, and Justin Houston. They're all out. Marcus Peters and Ronnie Stanley are both listed as questionable. And there's some optimism that this might be the week that Stanley finally makes his debut.
I'm feeling good. Yeah, we'll see where we're at. I'm not gonna really comment on who's playing and who's not playing. But we'll be out there on Sunday. I think it's 11. No. What time would it be? 20, 7:20, 6:50, 6:50. You'll know.
Coach was trying to do the math and figure out when the inactives come out. So was I. Whether it's the all-black uniforms, a divisional rival coming to town, or the fact that it'll be played Sunday night, there's no pregame speech needed for a game like this.
I think at this point, for this team, we're taking it week by week, game by game. Anytime you play an AFC North team, it's a big game. Someone said it counts as two. We're treating it that way. It's going to be a big game for us. It's a little bit more on the line. It's a night game. All that stuff leads to a playoff-like atmosphere, for sure.
Coming up tonight, Mervo and Polly went head-to-head under the Friday night lights, plus J.K. Dobbins on the emotions of his first touchdown in a very long time when Sports Unlimited returns.
Months of planning, but still no real progress on the squeegee crisis, it seems, pressing city leaders on when we finally will get a plan and why it's taking so long. Well, this weekend you can get moving for heart health and raise funds for cardiovascular research. At the Greater Maryland Heart Walk, you can work towards CPR certification, a process that has changed over time. Be More Lifestyle's Mark Clark was on hand for a demonstration.
You place your hands right in the sternum, and on an adult you go down about 2 inches. So push, 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 staying alive, staying alive, staying alive. That becomes the rhythm that you continue to do that.
The song Staying Alive?
Yes, 100 to 150 per minute.
And this is amazing. So just like that. And now, of course, that's just the beginning. That's just the tip of the iceberg.
Well, for more information on this weekend's event, head to our website, foxbaltimore.com.
We are still waiting for a solution as more police calls come in involving squeegee kids. We asked city leaders what they're doing to address the crisis. Some city residents are frustrated with their water bills. They're still looking for a promised discount a month after E. coli contamination. And violence in some classrooms is increasing the concerns from parents and politicians.
Live from WBFF in Baltimore, this is Fox 45 News Late Edition.
Breaking tonight, Howard County Police are investigating a deadly shooting in Columbia. Officers were called to the scene at an apartment complex on Hickory Road, less than a mile from Howard Community College's campus, just over 2 hours ago. Officers found a man who'd been shot in the head. He was pronounced dead at the scene. So far, no word on the gunman. Stay with Fox 45 News and foxbaltimore.com for updates. Our other big story is Baltimore's squeegee crisis adds another violent installment. More than 100 calls from concerned residents have flooded City Hall over the past 3 weeks. Thank you for staying with us. I'm Kai Jackson. Since reporting Wednesday, a man is accused of a squeegee revenge shooting. We've been seeing answers from city leaders or trying to get those answers over how to keep drivers and people safe. Fox 45's Jeff Abel continues our team coverage.
As city leaders wrangle for solutions, the damages and the injuries keep mounting, and so do the demands. In his Northeast Baltimore neighborhood today, those who know Shamil Dixon were reluctant to talk. But online, there were plenty of words about the 26-year-old who police say shot a 17-year-old and a 23-year-old who were armed with squeegees and hustling drivers. Not long before the shooting, Dixon says the two squeegee kids stole $2,200 from his mother at a Baltimore intersection. He needs an award, writes one reader on Fox 45's Facebook page. I'm not saying he's right or justified, but everybody knows not to play with people's mama, writes another viewer. Another viewer writes, how much more must this escalate before enough is enough? This is on the public officials. We spent the past 2 days posing that and other questions to public officials. Our emails and phone calls received few replies. So at City Hall last night, we asked city officials for the safety of motorists and squeegee kids. Should the corners be cleared immediately given the latest incident that police say happened?
It seems like a good idea, if only except you can't just remove people from corners.
How long will the people of Baltimore have to wait before something is done about this problem?
Well, it's not like we're not doing anything. Again, we're trying to get the right solutions in place. It's not like nothing's happening. So things are moving forward.
While City Hall wrangles for solutions, the suspect's mother has launched an online fundraiser hoping to raise $2,200 for her son, who's facing attempted murder charges. She's already raised $1,500.
If the lead official doesn't want to do anything, nothing's going to happen.
Political analyst John Deedy believes many city leaders may be waiting on a new state's attorney to get tough on squeegee kids, but fears that may not be soon enough.
They're going to create a situation where basically you can have chaos until January. Well, that's unacceptable.
It is still unclear tonight whether the same people who stole were the same people who were shot in this case. Our search for that answer and others at City Hall will go on. Jeff Abel, Fox 45 News.
Well, the Mayor's Squeegee Collaborative continues to meet. So far, no solutions have been provided. The collaborative wanted a plan in early October. Well, now the mayor says it could take weeks before we hear anything from the group. Today, Mackenzie Frost pushed the mayor on when the city will have a plan out.
No, well, I'm waiting for the collaborative to say we have the work done. I met with them this week and told them about wanting to get that work to start to wrap that up.
The problem isn't going anywhere, but the conversations just keep happening.
The reality is that this conversation hasn't been happening for months. It's been happening for 40 years.
Well, according to police, there have been more than 600 squeegee-related calls since July 1st. That brings us to our question of the day. Who do you believe is most to blame for failing to get squeegee kids off street corners? Mayor Brandon Scott, City State's Attorney Marilyn Mosby, or the police department, or someone else? So far, 89% who responded say Mayor Brandon Scott. We'd like to hear from you. Go to foxbaltimore.com/vote to weigh in. Continue our coverage right now in a city in crisis. It's been a month since Mayor Scott promised to cut 25% off city water bills due to that E. coli contamination. Fox 45's Keith Daniels spoke with frustrated residents and tries to get answers from the mayor's office.
Well, we've learned residents will have to wait just a few more days for that discount, and that's leaving a bad taste on the lips of some residents.
Something ain't right.
On his porch in West Baltimore, Denver Moten and his neighbors can't forget it. The E. coli water supply scare over the Labor Day weekend that gripped the community. Moten recalls the moment he learned about it.
I had just brushed my teeth. Do you know how I felt the rest of the day? I was worried like I don't know what.
A few days later, Mayor Brandon Scott gave the all clear, lifted the boil water advisory, then made a promise to Baltimore residents.
The 25% discount.
The mayor said everyone in the city would be given a 25% discount on water bills in the next cycle for their inconvenience caused by the water crisis. A month after that promise, residents on Moten's porch asking about the discount delay.
It should have been discounted right then and there. So when this bill came out for this month, the discount should have been on the bill.
You want to talk about 25%, like I said, you're not going to see that difference. You see, knock out the whole bill, then you can see the difference. Then I can understand your appreciation.
Frustration for some still running deep. From the beginning, the Department of Public Works criticized over how the situation was handled.
I think the city failed. I think the entire city failed with this.
The most critical time in a crisis is those first 24 hours. And frankly, I'm disgusted on how those first 24 hours was handled.
City council members not holding back at hearings recently when questioning DPW about its response. At last week's hearing, the agency revealing what may have caused the contamination, saying it was, quote, a combination of factors related to aging city infrastructure.
I'm still wondering, is it still in the area?
Meanwhile, waiting on the discount.
Let me know how much that 25% is it going to be $7? Is it going to be $16? You know, you don't know.
Well, according to the mayor's office, that discount will apply to charges that immediately followed that lifting of the boil advisory that happened early September. They say the discounted adjustment should appear late October, running through late November. Reporting tonight, Keith Daniels, Fox 45 News.
There's been violence in schools across the state, and that's leading to renewed concerns that children aren't safe in class. In Frederick, a 14-year-old girl is charged with pulling a knife during a fight inside Thomas Johnson High School. The Frederick County Sheriff's Office says two girls were fighting in the cafeteria when one threatened the other with a 10-inch kitchen knife. There were no injuries, and the girl was taken into custody. And in Baltimore, a parent is under arrest after getting into a fight with students inside Merville High School yesterday. School officials say a student who was having a conflict with classmates let their parent in through an unauthorized entrance. That parent is now facing assault charges, and the students involved have been disciplined. On top of those incidents, a student was assaulted in Baltimore County yesterday. Rio Creighton has the latest on the recent crisis in the classroom.
Now, this week, we have seen one vicious viral video after another showing fights in Baltimore County schools. The latest incident happening at Towson High School, the tipping point for two mothers who came to us to say the situation has gone too far. Extreme fight videos posted on social media. Some of them we can show you, others we can't, including a brutal three-girl brawl, a student partially stripped of her clothes inside Towson High School this week. Another violent video posted on Snapchat just today that you won't see here inside Delaney High. The pummeling of a girl turned another group beating.
My daughter doesn't even want me talking to you because she's so afraid of retaliation.
Two mothers of Baltimore County students who didn't want their identities revealed say their children witnessed one of those fights, but have seen so much violence this year.
That's not the first time they've seen a fight like that.
No, they see it all the time. And no one goes to anyone's aid. No one, it's baffling. It's just baffling, and it's scary.
Speaking, they said to call attention to what they believe is a situation spiraling out of control.
This is something that has been ongoing for quite some time, and it seems as if no one is making any attempt to bring this to a close.
Videos like this, Pastor Charles Neal said, show his niece wielding a bat allegedly under attack by her bullies of over a year at Perry Hall High School. Fox 45 News has repeatedly reached out to Baltimore County schools on the issue of violence. Earlier this week, they told us in part, any behavior that creates a hostile school environment, disrupts learning and school activities, or negatively interferes with a student's academic, psychological, social, or physical well-being will not be tolerated. It went on to say the community should be assured that students are held accountable. Well, Baltimore County schools coming under a lot of pressure in the wake of these violent videos that keep surfacing. School officials in that statement that they sent to us did also say that they asked parents and students to report these incidents quickly. They say swift action will be taken. Reporting in Baltimore tonight, Riel Creighton, Fox 45 News.
Education and school safety have become central issues in elections. This week, Fox 45 News pressed Baltimore County Executive John Olszewski on violence as the campaign against Pat McDonough moves forward.
And I'm a parent of a Baltimore County public school student. I have a first grader here in Baltimore County, and the safety and well-being of our students and families is the most important thing that we can do. We're putting the resources in place to not only support our nationally recognized school resource officers so that we have that presence in the building.
We can no longer tolerate the violence in the school system. We must have a solution. The solution is to attack or address the people who are causing the problem. Too many children are being hurt, too many parents are becoming victims, and the system is not changing because the leadership under Olszewski.
Well, Fox 45 News will continue to track the crisis in Baltimore County classrooms and how leadership is addressing those issues that parents are raising.
Now, a Fox 45 News alert in 3, 2, 1.
Well, this afternoon, a critical ruling on Maryland's election. The State Board of Elections will now be allowed to count mail-in ballots before Election Day. Maryland's highest court heard arguments between the Board of Elections and Republican gubernatorial candidate Dan Cox. Cox arguing a lower court should not have given the state permission to begin early counting. The original ruling allowed ballots to be opened as early as last weekend. Until the courts granted the exception, Maryland was the only state in the country to mandate mail-in ballots be counted after Election Day. In response to the ruling, the Board of Elections released a statement saying early counting will allow for more timely and accurate results. Over 550,000 mail-in ballots were requested by voters. Kai.
Maxine, thank you. Defense lawyers for City State's Attorney Marilyn Mosby argue why they shouldn't be punished. The latest on the possible violations related to their response to a gag order. And a man accused of killing his own brother and 2 others will stand trial. New developments in the case surrounding a vaccine conspiracy theorist. Here's a look at today's top trending stories. Number one, City State's Attorney Marilyn Mosby's legal team is fighting potential punishment related to the release of a jury questionnaire responses last month. In new filings, attorney A. Scott Bolden cites three main reasons why he and colleagues should not be held in contempt of court. The first calls the rules surrounding the controversy as vague. The second point claims it wouldn't taint the jury pool because the trial is 6 months away. They also argue federal prosecutors mentioned impacts on the jury in requesting a gag order, so the defense should be allowed to use those responses. Ms. Mosby's trial is set for March of 2023. Number two, a COVID conspiracy theorist accused of killing 3 people has been deemed competent to stand trial. 47-year-old Jeffrey Burnham was ruled incompetent for trial early this year. Over a year ago, he was arrested for allegedly shooting his brother and sister-in-law in Ellicott City. He's also accused of killing an 83-year-old woman before that double murder. Burnham's mother says he planned to confront his brother for administering the COVID vaccine, which he believed the government was using to poison people. Number three, Maryland Attorney General Brian Frosh is joining Haymon Lee's family in their efforts to put Adnan Syed's case on hold. Syed was convicted of killing Haymon Lee in 2000, but that conviction was vacated last month by a judge. Frosh says Lee's rights as a victim were violated during the original trial, and circuit court proceedings could make the appeal a moot point. Lee's family has said they do not want Syed sent back to jail as a result of their requests for a stay.
It's been another gorgeous day, but we are in for cooler temperatures over the weekend. We fall to the low 60s tomorrow, but then we gradually start to get warmer as we head into next week. However, we are looking at our next chance of rain next week. I'll let you know when to expect that coming up in my full forecast.
Another beautiful day in Baltimore. The sun was out and we got some warmer weather warmer than we have been seeing over the past couple of days after remnants of Ian. And you can tell, Jasmine, because people have been giddy, haven't they?
Oh, yeah. It just puts you in a good mood, this gorgeous weather.
It does. And I know Thursday and Friday were nice. The weekend looks like it's good, but I'm guessing not quite as good as Thursday and Friday.
I mean, if you like the cool temperatures, then this is certainly the weekend for you. But it's just been so nice today with the temperatures in the 70s. Same thing yesterday, but we're actually cooling down to the 60s tomorrow. Right now, we sit at 63, and that's about where our high temperature is going to be tomorrow. So how it feels outside right now, that's about what you can expect as we head into the afternoon. Now, it is overcast over Baltimore with winds out of the northwest around 10 miles per hour. Across the state, temperatures are mainly in the 50s. However, we do have the 30s, 39 over in Oakland, very cold there. And some of us could be waking up to temperatures in the 30s on Sunday morning. Tonight, though, not as bad. Temperatures fall to the 40s and the 50s. Then as we head into the afternoon, those numbers only reach 63, 66 on Sunday, and we continue to get warmer as we head into Monday, 69 for the temperature then. Notice we've got this cold front moving across the region. That's what's going to lead to the cooler temperatures as cold air moves in behind that. There's the chance for a stray shower. Most of us will stay dry overnight. We'll wake up to lots of sunshine tomorrow morning, and we keep the mostly sunny skies heading into the afternoon. So it is going to be another nice and gorgeous day with lots of sunshine. The big difference is that it will be cooler and at times a little breezy. Sunday looks to be a little bit better, but the morning starts off with those numbers in the 30s and the 40s. So very chilly for Sunday morning, but by the afternoon, those temperatures will eventually reach the mid-60s. We're keeping watch on Tropical Storm Julia, which is expected to strengthen into a Category 1 hurricane before making landfall in Nicaragua. We're not looking at any local impacts from that area. Otherwise, we've just got one area that we're watching in the Atlantic, but that will not be a threat to us. 48 for the low temperature with a few passing clouds. Will gradually get clearer as we head into the morning. 63 with plenty of sunshine tomorrow, but again, it will be a little bit breezy and feeling cool at times, so you may want layers if you're spending any time outside tomorrow. We do get slightly warmer on Sunday, but by the time we get to the Ravens game, 8 p.m., those numbers will quickly fall to the 50s. Monday, 69, 70s for the middle of the week. We've got showers on Thursday, followed by cool and dry weather by Friday. Back to you.
Thank you, Jasmine. Thousands left without anywhere to return. The efforts by strangers all over the country to help the victims of Hurricane Ian. Dozens of nonprofits, first responders, and other resources have been sent to Florida to help communities recover from Hurricane Ian. Paige Hubbard from our Sinclair sister station in Austin, Texas, has the story.
Hurricane Ian's strong winds and heavy downpours have left millions of Floridians unable to return home or cook a hot meal.
Some of them don't have any hope because they've lost everything or they don't know how they're going to fix it or pay for it.
Mike Northern with the disaster relief team at First Baptist Church in Pflugerville is helping feed those impacted. In just a few days, nearly 50,000 meals have been served.
Up until yesterday, I was sleeping in a church with no lights and no air conditioning. So it's a sacrifice, if you want to say, on our part. It's inconvenient. It's not something we would do every day. You're hot and sweaty and tired, but yet we have a mission that keeps us on track, that there are people hurting much worse than us and don't even know what their future holds.
His team isn't the only one from the Austin area in Florida helping with the recovery process. This tweet from Austin Energy shows crews working to restore power for thousands in Jacksonville, Florida. The help is on top of additional resources Governor Greg Abbott sent from Texas A&M University and other state agencies.
When it comes to an out-of-region response, we really want to be able to channel and champion some of the local leaders of the response in those communities. And we will help mobilize some of the volunteer support. And
Stephen Brewer, Associate Director with Austin's Disaster Relief Network, says even though he can't be their boots on ground, he's thankful to bring hope during a time of crisis by working with their national partners. The network is putting together survivor care kits with hygiene items and other essentials.
But even from a great distance that we find ourselves, there's still a part that we can play.
Well, after getting torched by the Bengals a season ago, the Ravens secondary hopes to make a statement how they're approaching Sunday night's AFC North showdown.
This Fox 45 News segment is sponsored by BCSBN, the Black College Sports Broadcasting Network.
All eyes will be on the Ravens and Bengals as two divisional rivals take center stage on Sunday night. M&T Bank Stadium will be rocking as the Ravens look to snap their 5-game home losing streak.
3 years ago when it was going into the week, it was like, if you can stop Tyler Boyd, you can be okay. And then Higgins comes, it's like, if you can stop Tyler Boyd and Higgins, you can get the job done. And then they get Chase, and it's like, oh, he'll be a little rusty, he's a rookie guy. And then it's like, crap, this dude's looking like all pro. So they all just bring so much to the table and really can kind of do it all. It just depends on how they want to use them. And it's a really tough matchup, so everybody will really have to be on point.
For a period of time after tearing his ACL, J.K. Dobbins had the game of football taken away from him, but he worked his way back, making his season debut in Week 3 and his end zone debut Week 4. Sunday against the Bills, Dobbins scored his first 2 touchdowns since the injury, putting an exclamation point on an emotional return to M&T Bank Stadium.
The emotions were high. I know Ravens flock has my back. They've had my back since his injury, and I think they're still going to have my back, even though I'm coming back from the injury. And that's what I love so much about, being a Baltimore Raven. It's kind of like, I come from Ohio State where the fans are the best. We're always going to have 105 to 106,000 people at the stadium each game, no matter who we're playing. That's how it is here, and they always have my back.
Mervo and Polly going head-to-head under the Friday night lights. Right before the half, Daryl Fletcher dials up Jarrett Gask. Gets 2 feet in on the touchdown. You only need 1. League him. Polly looking to respond. 3rd and short for the Engineers. But Mervo comes up with a huge defensive stop. Let's go to the second half now. Mervo on to punt. Tyree Stanley, check this out with a block. The scoop and the score. He's a one-man wrecking crew out there. Polly goes on to win a close one, 14-6 the final. The Engineers moved to 6-0 on the year. After a 1-week hiatus, HBCU football makes its return to CW Baltimore. 2 is better than 1, right? Well, that's the case this Saturday, a college football doubleheader. Tune in for Elizabeth City State versus Virginia Union at 11. Stay for Bowie State at Virginia State at 3:30. Here's why.
They got new turf on Rogers Stadium, and it's pretty. And overall, I don't know if you can see it over there, but they got tailgaters and stuff going on. And over there, I don't know if you can see, I'm messing it up. Down there somewhere is the band getting ready to practice. So I got to get done with this. But there's a lot going on. It's homecoming. And so why should you watch this? I mean, come on now. If you're not going to go to the Union's homecoming or come to Virginia State, UC Field, you need to watch these games.
You heard Stan the Man. He'll be calling the Bowie State game. Coverage of Elizabeth City State versus Virginia Union begins at 11. Then Bowie State travels to Virginia State. You can watch both games presented by Black College Sports Broadcasting Network on CW Baltimore. That's it for this edition of Sports Unlimited. I'm Rocco DeSangro. Thanks for watching and have a great night.